And people say, do you think it's safe to get vaccinated? I've said, yeah, I think for the most part it's safe to get vaccinated. I do. But if you're like 21 years old and you say to me, should I get vaccinated? I go, no. Yeah. Are you healthy? Are you a healthy person? Like, look, don't do anything stupid, but you should take care of yourself. You should, if you're a healthy person and you're exercising all the time and you're young and you're eating well, and like, I don't think you need to worry about this. But there's a lot of jobs that will tell you you need to have this.
Well, that's what's starting to happen now.
People are worried about them doing it for their children. And we talked about this earlier. There's that you might have to have your children vaccinated. And, you know, I can tell you as someone who's both my children got the virus, it was nothing. I mean, I hate to say that. If someone's children died from this, I'm very sorry that happened. I'm not in any way diminishing that. But I'm saying the personal experience that my children had with COVID was nothing. One of the kids had a headache. The other one didn't feel good for a couple days. Yeah. Like, maybe, I mean, not feel good, like no big deal. No coughing, right. no achy, no like in agony. There was none of that. It was very mild. It was akin to them getting a cold.
Yeah, and you can have this thing where it's like you were saying, this virtue signaling and this kind of like theatrical display of I get the vaccine, what a good person I am, I care about everyone. But you're like, look, my daughter's a lot younger than your kids, but I'm like, yeah, I'm not injecting my daughter with something to fucking virtue signal. Right. Like, I'm not doing that. Right. If there's something that she's of no risk, statistically has no risk from, right. I'm sorry, I'm not taking any experiment on her in that. And that's my attitude toward it.
But it's amazing that that's controversial.
Yeah.
That even saying that, I'm not going to inject my child with the vaccine, is controversial.
Yeah.
It's crazy.
Boom shakalaka, ladies and gentlemen, brothers and sisters around the world. It is your boy Chris Shule, aka the Esoteric Noetic, aka the Chocolate Nubian Sobrada from Ghana, West Africa. Dropping the wisdomatic truth bombs here in Melbourne, Australia. You can rely on me because I stand with Dan. I stand with Fauci, George Soros, Joe Cross-Biden. I stand with Joe Rogan. Actually, I don't know about Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan has been saying a lot of nonsense lately that is going against the science. So I stand with Fauci, not Joe. Joe, you meathead, what are you doing telling people that they should not be getting a boom shakalaka, mate? You and I, we got to talk. We got to talk. Be sure to like the video, subscribe, click on the bell. Tell your friends, tell your mom, drop some comments. Let us know what it is. Let's get it. Ladies and gentlemen, Joe Rogan has broken the internet when the biggest podcaster in the world tells people on his podcast that if they're young, they're healthy, they're exercising, they don't need to worry about getting the boom shakalaka. And by boom shakalaka, you know what I'm talking about. Ooh, a lot of people tend to get very angry. People like Fauci, people like the World Health Organization, they don't like that. Joe Rogan has a lot of influence. And say what you will about Joe, but he tends to speak his mind. Or maybe it's a case of when you're speaking that many hours every day on a podcast, you slip up and you tell the truth. You tell what you think. Because look, no doubt, when you have a lot of influence, I think this is understandable. You kind of have to watch what you say, lest you get taken down. I mean, this guy's been signed up to Spotify. I'm sure there are restrictions on what he can and cannot say. And, I mean, this is one of the reasons why I stopped listening to the Joe Rogan Experience religiously. I listened to basically every episode till 2014. And then I'm like, oh, it's becoming a little mainstream. But Joe, every once in a while, speaks uninhibited what he thinks. And I think it's pretty clear that this guy is just speaking his mind, telling it as it is. And as a result, it's offended a lot of people. But I think in reality, I think most people tend to share the same sentiment. Of course, now, you should trust the science. I think that, you know, it's all right to have your own opinions, but you should listen to the establishment. Listen to the government, because they always get things right. Like, they're right about asbestos, obviously. They're right about cigarette smoking. They're right about fluoride in the water. It's good for you. Has no link. I mean, obviously, they're conspiracy theories, but trust me, don't listen to conspiracy theories. Listen to the science. And the science is with Fauci. Trust Fauci. He's been telling you to wear 1, 2, 3 masks and going back and forth. But you can trust him because he listens to the science. So, yeah, apparently there's been calls for anti-woke UFC commentator Joe Rogan to be canceled after he clashed with Fauci over advice not to get the COVID-19 boom shakalaka. A White House communications chief and Dr. Anthony Fauci, Joe Biden's chief medical advisor, have dismissed claims by Joe Rogan that healthy young people do not need a boom shakalaka amid angry calls for the UFC pundit to be cancelled. It's so fascinating that all it takes is for someone as influential as Joe Rogan to speak his mind, and whoa, the media pays attention, because Joe Rogan ain't just some random Joe. Joe Rogan is quite possibly the most influential person when it comes to mainstream and alternative thought. So this may signal a shift in the status quo if this kind of gets underhand. So Joe Rogan, I'm sure, is probably peeing his pants right now if he cares about his podcast. But I think the reality is Joe Rogan has too much support. They realize you can't shut. There's a problem when you become too influential, too big. You can't shut someone down. You can't shut someone down on the internet. You can't shut I suppose you could always kill someone, but that would only give the conspiracy theorists more fuel.
Man, you see what happened when Joe Rogan spoke out, man? They killed him, man. I'm telling you, it's all true. It is all true, because they kill all the people that speak out about this thing, man. Don't you know?
So obviously, I don't think they're going to go there. So what can they do now? It seems like they're going to have to perhaps get Joe to reconsider. I wouldn't be surprised if Joe comes out and says, you got it wrong. And actually, you know what? He does recommend. He did say that, it's only if you're young and healthy and exercising. But he said that if you're older, then it's probably a good idea. But look, I'm not going to talk about the science. All I'm going to say is that you should listen to the science. So, the Spotify superstar Rogan reiterated his views that young people can protect themselves against the boom shakalaka 19 by exercising regularly and maintaining a healthy diet. What? That's controversial. What you mean by to suggest that by exercising, staying healthy, eating right, that's not going to help you to combat viruses? Well, I know that that's been the science for years, but to suggest that now with this, because this is from what I understand, it's a very different kind of virus, right? All the other ways that we would combat viruses by getting vitamin D, staying healthy, mind, body, spirit, taking care of yourself, that doesn't work. The only way in order to address this situation is to stay locked in your home. Not to flatten the curve, that was the science before. The science now is to stay in your home to eliminate the virus completely. To not go outside and get the sunlight, to get fresh exercise, and to get the boom shakalaka. Boom shakalaka, which, last time I checked, it hasn't been around for very long, but it's not experimental. It's not experimental. Don't believe what the conspiracy theorists tell you. It's safe. As long as you put safe behind every idea, it's okay. Drugs are safe. Cigarettes are safe. When they're administered to you by the government. But if they're not, then they're not safe. Adderall is safe. Yeah, morphine is safe. And pretty much everything the government tells you to do is safe. Until it's not safe. Known to UFC fans for his hyperbolic commentary and psychophanic post-fight interviews, Rogan used his chart-topping show to put himself at loggerheads with health supremo. So Fauci is the health supremo now. I thought it was Bill Gates. I thought he was the most powerful doctor in the world. And the new Biden administration advising youngsters not to take the jab that are being heavily promoted across the world. Take the jabs that have been heavily promoted across the world. Yes, they are being heavily promoted, and I guess that might be the issue. It's typically, there's this idea that when you have value, when you have currency, there's no need to advertise. People of currency don't need to tell you how much they're worth. They don't need to say, typically people that don't have currency tend to tell you how amazing they are. People that, when an idea is good enough in of itself, you don't need to advertise it. Sex will always sell, right? Because you don't need to tell people, bro, Trump, you gotta have sex, man. It's the most amazing thing, Granted, they still advertise this, but it's still gonna sell. You're still gonna have people wanting to have sex because they know it's probably worth their time. But when you don't, in my opinion, when you don't think enough people want something, that's when you advertise. That's when you have restrictions put in place saying that, look, we know everyone wants to get this thing, but we're going to make it impossible for you to leave the country and put all of these restrictions in place to force you to get this thing. But of course, we don't need to do it because everyone wants to get it. But just in case. Does that sound like the actions of someone that is not worried about enough people getting up to 95% uptake, the population getting 95% uptake on the boom shakalaka? No, it sounds like the actions of a government that is incredibly frantic, that this narrative that everyone wants this thing may not be maintained. And this is typically what you see with people like the ilk we have in government. They will do everything they can to suppress the information because it's so hard to maintain this thing. This is the most difficult. We've never seen anything like this, ladies and gentlemen. Something that, in my opinion, is overtly obvious to the point where it is scary. And the only way to suppress something like that is to make the lies so great, so incredibly great. And of course, I don't think that the government is lying. They're telling the truth. They always tell the truth. But the narrative, let's go with the narrative. The narrative that everyone wants to get this thing. You have to make it so strong. Because the reality is that not everyone does want to get this thing. So, reading some of the comments here, which is really interesting. We have quite a mixed bag of responses. Here's a guy, Sagrado, the maker's mark. He says, I'm with dude. I'm not injecting something experimental into my children's veins, and it is amazing that people are pretending to be mad at that fact. I agree. Here's another one. They tried at least 15 times to cancel Rogan. It ain't happening. His audience is anti-woke, and we're not going anywhere, man. I added the man there, by the way, just to give it extra oomph. I have never taken health advice from Joe Rogan, and I doubt I ever will. Yeah, I tend to have the same. This is the guy that this is the guy that often gives bro logic when it comes to health advice. You know, where you get your protein, man? Like you vegans, like you don't get enough protein in your diet. But look, the guy speaks his mind. You got to give props to that. You know, I mean, granted, there are times when I think he does curtail a lot of what he thinks, understandably, because look, he doesn't want to get canceled. But yeah, I guess every once in a while you slip up and you share what you really think, right? The Centers for Disease Control and Prevention has just updated its guidelines to relax measures for people who have been boom shakalaka'd, and White House Communications Director Kate Bedingfield said the former MMA fighter was insufficiently informed to comment on the pandemic. Yeah, doesn't know what he's talking about. We can't be taking advice from Joe Rogan. He's just a UFC fighter that's like really conscientious about his health and well-being, and has a history of interviewing all of the world's most brilliant people from all walks of life, and he's been doing that for about a decade. No, we got to listen to a businessman, Bill Gates, someone that has a vested interest in ensuring that everyone is safe, that wants to reduce the population. He wants to ensure that we reduce the carbon emissions. So I would much rather take my advice from an IT guy, Bill Gates, than a UFC fighter. Or we could take our advice from Fauci, who, let's be honest, he has a reputation of going back and forth on his medical advice. Nonetheless, you must listen to the science, trust Fauci, bow to the altar of scientism. Rogan has consistently said that general good health should be promoted as much as masks and boom shakalakas. That's incorrect. That you shouldn't promote good health as much as you promote masks and boom shakalaka? Really? So good health is not... Wow. Who said that's incorrect? Fauci told Today when asked whether young people did not need to be boom shakalaka'd. Wow. So Fauci has gone out and said, and of course I agree with him, that, you don't need to focus on good health as much as promoting masks and boom shakalakas. All right. So the immune system, which has been around for thousands of years, is not worth maintaining through good food, exercise. That's essentially worthless. Vitamin D and all the other vitamins and things that people take, things people do in order to stay healthy, to strengthen their immune system, it's not as effective as wearing masks and taking a boom shakalaka. It's good to know. That's excellent to know. All right, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to leave it there. I'm going to leave it there and let you make up your own mind. Now, of course, I don't know anything. I'm just a lowly chocolate Nubian. And Joe Rogan, he's just a meathead. But of course, Fauci, Bill Gates, we have to listen to them, right? We have to listen to them because they have all the answers. And, yeah, they're trying to... it's not like they're trying to make money or anything like that. It's not like Fauci has hundreds of patents with Moderna and stands to benefit from the boom shakalakas, or Bill Gates isn't making lots and lots of money with all the money he's invested into boom shakalakas. It's not like that is a reality. It's not like money talks. It's not like pharmaceutical companies make billions of dollars. It's not like there are ulterior motives to the agendas that are currently in motion. It's not like there is an agenda that's been illustrated through the Agenda 2021, 2030 in the United Nations agenda that is essentially trying to bring about a lot of the draconian restrictions that we have in play, not conspiracy theory, conspiracy fact. It's not like any of these should be taken into consideration. Everything is done purely because the government and these people that are essentially controlling the government, that influencing the government, they care about you. They care about your well-being. They're locking you up right now because they care about you. I mean, look, granted, if a lover did this to their partner, they told them they couldn't go outside during times of the day. They told him, look, I'm going to punish you if you do. I'm going to force you to take something. I'm going to rape you. But it's only because I care about you. Of course, that's perfectly not acceptable. But when the government does it, it's because they love you. We love you. And of course, we say, all in unison, we love the government. We stay together by staying apart. We are one. We must work together as one. Stop being selfish. You must obey the obey the government. You will do as you are told. Ladies and gentlemen, freaks and geeks, peace out, keep it real, and drive in Texas. This is your chocolate Nubian soul brother, the esoteric noetic, signing out. Be sure to check out the Telegram group if you want to stay informed about what's going on in the world. Links are below. Check out Hive if you want to stay up to date with all the posts I put on in regards to what's going on in the world, my music, everything I'm up to. Illuminate your mind with wisdom, strengthen your will with love, and purge all negative thought patterns from your existence. Boom shakalaka. Signing out. Chris Yule. Ow!
What is liberty?
What the? Who says you can't build muscle on a vegan diet?
What's it like being a hottie in the vegan community? There are no political solutions, only technological ones.
The economics of the system don't allow multiple competing systems to survive.
Engineering, technology, these arts of humanity, they are magic.